Welcome to a brand new episode of Teachers Glasses presents Bollywood Talkies with Outlook. I am your host, Mitrajit Bhattacharya, and my guest tonight is an actor who has brought intense characters to life across theatre, television, and movies. Recipient of multiple awards, known for his path-breaking roles in Hazaro Khwaishein Aisi, Sarkar Life in a Metro, Gulal, Shaurya, Haider, The Ghazi Attack, and now in the super hit web series Special Ops, KK Menon. Welcome to Teachers Glasses presents Bollywood Talkies with Outlook.
Thank you, Mr. Ji. Thank you so much.
Congratulations on your portrayal of Himmat Singh in Special Ops. Do you think you finally got a role that did full justice to your potential? Big platform, big director, production house, and a role that had a screen time that would be the length of an entire feature film.
I don't analyze this as much as you do in life. Whatever is given to me on the plate, I choose from that, and I try and do as much justice as possible to that particular part. So I don't really think I'm not able to answer that question, because that's something that is beyond acting, which I don't know. So I can't analyze that in that form as to how much I've been offered and what justice has been done, etc., etc. On the other hand, I try and do justice to everything that I'm doing. That's my whole attempt.
Did you know Special Ops would become so big when you were cast and then filming it? And how did you get to know you were a part of the series?
I'm not a foreseer. I can't see things beyond what is given. So I have no idea about success or failure of any project of mine. So I have no idea of that. You just sincerely do it, and you hope the audiences like it. And it's allowed to release very well. That's a very important thing. So these are a few aspects. And secondly, as far as Special Ops goes, Neeraj called me one day. Neeraj and Sheetal I know for eons now. So he called me and said, "Jab free ho, office mein aa jana, hum log baat kar lete." So when I went and met him, he gave me a brief idea of what he's thinking of, and I quite liked the whole concept. And later on, of course, as he was writing the episodes, he used to pass it on to me. And once I had the entire eight episodes, it was an unputdownable script in that sense. It was very intriguing. So I was very thrilled that I'm a part of it, and we were on. That's it.
How did you prepare as a raw officer? As we know very little about these characters in real life, so how was the preparation?
This is a slightly longish answer.
Okay.
It's just that I normally, I've often said this, I don't perform roles. I perform people.
Right.
So there's a whole lot of difference there. So it could be an officer, it could be a cop, it could be a professor, it could be a lawyer. These are all roles. And I don't perform them because they are, the number of roles available are limited. It might be about 2,500 or 3,000, I don't know. But number of people are infinite.
Okay.
Mitrajit, the journalist, and say Dinesh or Suresh, the journalist, are both journalists. But if I start playing journalists, then it becomes just the same. So I would like to play Mitrajit and then Dinesh. So that makes it different. And that's the whole idea. So I prefer to play people. So I was playing Himmat Singh more than anything else. Right. Himmat Singh, who happens to be a raw officer.
Right.
So the role doesn't entail too much of work, in the sense that you can't have long hair, for example, and small things. I mean, it's all decorative in that sense. What is important and intriguing for an actor is to perform the person, and once you start performing the person, that's where the acting comes into friction. So that's been my approach throughout. So hence this time also I was playing Himmat Singh. Now tomorrow, if I play Shekhawat Singh, a raw officer, he will be different. So he might be an officer, but he'll be a completely different person. As a personality, he'll be different. That's my whole idea of performance.
So did you get Himmat Singh early? Did you get the character early? The person Himmat Singh? Or did it take time to understand Himmat Singh as the person you wanted to play on screen?
You have a deadline. All creative should have a deadline. Otherwise, you can make a fantastic piece in 10 years. So you have a deadline, and within that deadline, you try to use it to the optimum level, so that you can actually engage with the person that you're playing. And that's what I did. So there is no quickly or later. You still keep discovering while you're shooting as well. So
Right.
it's a continuous process. So that's how it is. So there's no, I can't really put it in a compartment saying that I quickly got this character or I didn't get this character, etc., etc. It takes its time. So and the process is slightly sometimes for people boring because you've got to read and reread and reread the text, you know, and what is in the text is what you'll get, because that that people sometimes forget. They go out of the text to say player or officer. You know, that's not the point. The point is the text will give you that person, and you need to reread it a number of times and also discuss it with your director and your writer, and then you will get an idea of what you do as a person, because that Himmat Singh has to come from within you. Otherwise, it will become fake acting. So all acting for me is internal. You might play an extroverted character, but that too is an internal process. So there's nothing called external acting. So you need to bring it out from within, and for that you need to revisit the text a number of times. You know, not as a studious guy and serious guy, but just be with it for quite some time, and discuss it. You know, things with your writer and the director.
But a well-written script always helps, right?
Always. I mean, it's absolutely. It's a well-prepared pitch. All you need to go and hit it.
Right.
So yeah. So always. And I think this writing of Neeraj, any which way Neeraj is known for extraordinary writing. So he writes very well. He brings out humor in the most unexpected quarters. So he has that knack, and that brings a smile to you when you're reading itself. You know? At the same time, it's your responsibility not to overdo it.
Right.
You know, and things like that. So the actor needs to know how to also, you know, economize on his performance.
Right. The series was shot in exotic foreign locales of Amman, Aqaba, Baku, Istanbul, and you traveled to none. Did you complain to Neeraj that you were stuck to Bombay and Delhi?
Not really. I would rather go to these places when I'm on a holiday, because even if I was there, I would be still thinking and working. You know, so half your time and most of your time goes in that, and it's not a pleasure trip. Like, it's not a multi-starrer commercial, you know, mainstream movie in which you can do some Ayashi. You know, there are constraints here as well. So so you've got to work within those constraints. So even there, I don't think the actors, they were working. I mean, the director, the actor, they're all working. It's just that it's a different location. But you would rather go there as a vacation rather than work. But it's fun.
Let's go back a bit. You did graduation in physics, followed by an MBA, and then joined theatre with the Motley Group after a brief sojourn in advertising. Talk about the early days and how you joined theatre.
Yeah, I'm an educated person in that sense, you know, and education can never fail you. I mean, it will always help you in life. So I think if you read well and if you understand concepts and if you have not just information, because people think that information is knowledge. It's not. It's just a way to get knowledge. Knowledge, you need to really stop with that information and start thinking about it deep, and that's when you get knowledge. So these things are something that I've been doing, and it's kind of helped me everywhere in life, in every aspect of life. Number two is the fact that, of course, right from when you are actually very, very young, you're still searching for your, I would call it in Hindi, swadharma. You're trying to search for that particular thing that you're good at. And I seriously believe that every human being on this earth is bestowed and blessed with at least one or two skills, you know. And if he or she identifies those skills early in life, then you will find, as you say in the gati in that particular field, because you're already bestowed with it. For example, people can just sing. Some people can just sing, and some people can't. So that is the difference, you know. So you have been already given that singing skills. It's necessary for you to identify that very early in life. And I was pursuing education, MBA. I did my advertising also. All through, I was, you know, even as an extracurricular activity, I used to do my theatre and things like that. And that used to give me a sense of ease and freedom when I'm doing it. The rest of them felt a bit laborious, you know, in the sense that advertising felt laborious. I had to really think about how to be creative and all that stuff. And very early in life, I realized that this is perhaps not what I'm supposed to do. This might be a desire. And normally your desire and what you are good at doesn't match. You know?
Correct.
So I decided that what I'm good at, I shall pursue. And I got back into theatre. I used to keep using theatre on the side. So I got back into theatre. I joined Motley. I did my first play In the Crowd. I was not even the main player. Then gradually that particular journey began. And I think in 1995, 96, I got my first camera acting chance. And I found this cinema acting to be very fascinating. You know,
we'll come to the cinema part later. Yeah, so if you could just talk about, I think it was with Naseeruddin Shah, right? The play you did, Mahatma versus Gandhi, right?
That's right. Yes. Right.
So if you could just talk about your theatre, what you did in that little gap before you did Naseem with Syed Mirza. We'll come to that.
Yeah. So so I went back into theatre, and there was a play going on already. They were rehearsing for about 3 months. And I was a late entry, as entered. I wanted to join theatre back. So I closed shop of my advertising stuff, Dukaan Band Kar Di. And I decided that whatever it is, I shall take this chance. And because I know I'm good at it. And that's what you're so that calling is what you realize. It's this is what I'm supposed to be doing. So I went into theatre. I obviously didn't get a major part because it was already, rehearsal was about 2 months down the line. So I was in the crowd here and there. And therein it began, later on, after a couple of years, then this chance of Mahatma versus Gandhi came as a play in which Naseer was playing Mahatma Gandhi, I was playing Harilal Gandhi, the son. So that was a big play. We toured all over the world. It was in English and it was Gandhiji's topic. So it was quite, widely watched. And that's how I got back into theatre and sort of started getting my bearings back in terms of the gift already given to me. Then after that, of course, as you said, my first film thing happened. So it was a wonderful journey. It was just a journey that was meant to be. And I knew that since I had given up advertising, which used to pay me a lot and I used to live a proper life, I had given that up. And I had become a pauper by choice, not by chance. There's a whole difference. So even if you don't have money then, and you had to do all those things which people romanticize about Mumbai, when you don't have the money, then you have platforms and railway platforms, all that thing one has gone through. But it was by choice. That's the only thing.
So Naseem was your first movie experience, right?
Yeah.
So how did that happen?
It so happened that I was rehearsing with Makarand Deshpande. We were doing a play. And Mahesh and what do you call that? Syed Mirza. Syed Mirza was doing this film. Correct. And Makarand is a very social guy, Right. And he somehow felt that I was a great actor. So he made it a point to introduce me to people. Okay. And he took me one day to Syed. He said, "Aaja na yaar, kya kar rahe ho?" And I was like obviously pauper by choice at that point in time. And we were rehearsing in the middle of the rehearsals. Once the rehearsal was over from Mirabai College, we went to Syed Mirza's office. I was wearing my track pant and one chola t-shirt, nothing else. So I just went there. And we got talking over there and Syed suddenly said that, and Max said, "Yeah, ye jo banda hai na, bahut badhiya actor." So Syed looked at me and said, let's do this. And he gave me a part in Naseem. And that's how it happened. So it just happened that way.
So it was a proper audition, right? Or it just...
No audition. No audition. He just spoke with me for some time and then it was done. Yeah. Right. So, but my first exposure to camera was the film camera. That's what I wanted to say. Later on came the television.
Yeah, I'll come to television. Yeah, now. So you were also doing a lot of television. And you were acting in scripted shows like Star Bestsellers, Rishte, Pradhan Mantri, etc. How was that? One is, how was the experience? And how was television those days before the daily soaps came?
Yeah. Television those days had some premium quality in the sense that there were not many outlets, not many channels. Today, the youngsters have humongous amount of outlets too.
Correct.
But including a small post on the social media can make them sensation. But those days it was not there. So, and also the kinds of stuff that I did on television were basically 1 hour stories.
1 hour story.
So yeah, like Saturday Suspense was a 1 hour story. Rishte was a 1 hour story. Star Bestseller was 1 hour. So different 1 hour stories. So it's like doing a small film of 1 hour.
Right.
Playing a character for 5-6 days, then getting off, then going to the next one and playing a different character altogether. There were no daily soap concepts then.
Correct.
And for a fact that it's endless daily soap. That things that would not exist. Even Pradhan Mantri, which I did with Ketan Mehta, was just about 24 episodes. That's it.
Right.
It was one season. So it was quite limited in that sense. And as I said earlier, creativity has to be in limit. Has to have a limit, and that's when your creative testing is done. So those days, we used to do a lot of. I used to earn my money also from there. So we used to do these number of small stories of 1 hour each.
So you collaborated with acclaimed directors like Syed Mirza, Anurag Kashyap, Vishal Bhardwaj, Sudhir Mishra in the early days of your career. Were they choosing you, or you were choosing them? How was it happening? They are all excellent directors you work with.
No, it has to be obviously their choice, because I didn't have the stature of making a choice. So it was their choice, and fortunately, I landed up there at the right time, the right place. So, yeah.
So your real breakthrough came with Hazaro Khwaishein Aisi in 2003, where you were noticed, and Sarkar in 2005, which announced KK as an actor. Did it get substantially easy post Sarkar?
Not really, in the sense that I don't know whether it was easy or tough and things like that, but things used to come. The only facility I had after Sarkar, I think, is that before Sarkar, I used to introduce people, myself to people by saying that I'm KK, I'm an actor. After Sarkar, I didn't have to say I'm an actor. If I say I'm KK, they know that I'm already an actor. So that was a facility that I had. Rest, of course, as you know, it was not so open. Cinema was not so open then. People like us would not get, the kind of roles that other people used to get. You know what I mean? So those things used to exist. So we were relegated to playing negatives and those kind of things because of various reasons. And I think after Satya came, when Manoj did such a brilliant job in Satya, that opened the doors for many of us.
Right.
Because if Satya wasn't done in the way it was done, and if Manoj hadn't played it so brilliantly, and because of which audiences just loved it, if that wouldn't have happened, all of us would have had to wait for another 5 years to make an entry. So he did that as a protagonist.
Yeah.
So those things happened, and we were fortunate it happened. So people started looking apart from white shoes, white pant, and good hair and good face.
But I just picked out 5 years, which is 2006 to 2011, and we had a KK movie hitting screen at regular intervals. I actually counted, you had 21 releases in these 5 years, and just in 2008 you had 8 releases. So obviously there was no recession in KK's career. Aligning with the global recession in 2008. You had Corporate, Shuniya, Honeymoon Travels, Mumbai Meri Jaan, Life in a Metro, Sarkar Raj, Shaurya, Gulal. They all came in a hurry. So explain that phase of your career. Though I know you said about Manoj and Bhikkhu Matre opening up doors, but you were extremely busy in this period of 2006 to 2011.
I was busy. It's just that if you notice all those films,
right,
they weren't very, very big releases.
Right.
Now, therein lies
barring few. Some of them were pretty okay. Barring few.
Corporate was okay. But it had a very big name.
Even Honeymoon Travels was a reasonable release.
Yeah, reasonable. Yeah. You still had a big name behind it. Excel was there. So I'm saying that the non-big names, for example, didn't have that many releases.
Right.
So the point is that these are films that you've done, but you would be surprised that people are seeing it today, not then. That's the whole point. Now people are, in today's time, I get messages from young cinema lovers saying that I think you have potential. I think you'll go a long way and all that stuff because
Right.
they've not seen the other work, so they've seen it now.
Right.
So I want to get there, but you know exactly what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
the distribution and the exhibition of these films are not up to the mark because of various other reasons. But the performances and the films were good, but it didn't get those kind of releases.
Right. So another highlight of your career came in 2014 with Haider, the critically acclaimed adaptation of Hamlet by Vishal Bhardwaj. Your portrayal as Khurram Mir also won you many awards. Talk about the experience of working with Vishal Bhardwaj and in that film in particular.
See, when I was working with Vishal, again, Vishal I knew for quite some time now.
Correct.
One would realize while working with him that he's essentially a music and lyrics man. You know?
Correct.
And he has all his songs for them are tremendously beautiful. All his songs,
right?
And that he lends in that part of him lends itself to his filmmaking. So you'll find that when you watch his film, it's slightly more lyrical and poetic in nature.
Right.
You know. So that's one thing which I see every every director that you work with, you attain a new facet of what it is to do a film. Like Ram Gopal Verma in Sarkar would have been a completely different person to Vishal in Haider. So you worked in both the streams, you know. So right. Vishal is more lyrical, more poetic, you know. So things like that. So that I found very interesting while working in Haider. And plus, I had to play Claudius, which I think is the toughest of the roles there because he's pulled in 3 different directions. Right. One is his ambition, one is his love for Gertrude or Ghazala in Haider, and the third is the repentance. So there are 3 different areas where he's being pulled in every day of his life. Repentance for killing his brother. So all these 3 areas had to be played together in every shot, every frame, every scene, which I found extremely interesting. And I tried my best to do that because I found Claudius to be that more than anything else.
How do you choose films? Banner, director, script, length, prominence of roles, anything else? How do you, I mean, you get so many offers, let's face it. I mean, you have done over 55 films, if I'm correct, in Hindi movie industry. How do you choose roles?
Primarily, you have to first read the script and like it and love it for you to be a part of it. And of course, your part in that film has to be something. These are all subjective matters. You really can't say objectively that this is how I choose a film because there's no formula. Like there's no formula to acting. There's no formula to any art. A painter, each painter is different. Each artist is different. So each singer is different. So there's no proper formula for that. And it's not scientific in that sense. It's beyond scientific. It's not under scientific. So it's subjective in the sense that it's like more like I often give this example. It's like falling in love with something. You don't measure the length of the nose or the eyes to fall in love. So it's an overall combination of many things put together. So that's how when you read a script, you see that you feel that this is something I should do, or this is something I want to do, and that feeling is unexplained. It's just that you feel attracted to it and you do it, and that is your best intention. Now it's possible it might fail, it might succeed. The second day of shoot, you'll realize, oh, this film is not going anywhere. You know, it's going to be trash. You don't realize all that, but once you made the commitment, then you go forward and do the best you can.
So if I get you right, you still go by your heart and not by mind in choosing a film.
I think for an actor, he's in the business of emotions, right? And emotions form a lot of space in that equation. You know? So he is essentially made with a little bit of emotional intelligence. So you just apply that and then you go forward and hope that everything will fall into place. So, and if it's directed by a very good director, well and good, you know. So everything has to just kind of fall in place after that. So you try and do that first instead of going the other way around. The other way around is thinking about the business part of it too much than the creatives. So you have to have a balance somewhere. So you just have a look at, this director is of course fantastic. So he'll make something out of it. You love the script any which way. So, so you'll go ahead and do it. then you see how your monetary situation is, and that's how you. I mean, I don't think anybody would just want to do anything for free, but you'll just do, equate that with the current situation and see how it goes and things like that. So it's not too much of thinking to be done. It's more to be felt and thought together.
Right. One thing we have observed throughout your 25 years odd career in Bollywood is your Zen-like composure, never bothered by any kind of rat race. At least that's what it appears from outside. How do you stay so calm in a hyperactive, in your face industry like Bollywood?
The point is that if you're a rat, then you will do the rat race.
Right.
That's the whole point. So I don't consider myself to be a rat. I don't think that I'm made that way. And if I try to do something else, I would not be me. So it becomes very difficult for me to fit into a it's like fitting into a square hole when you're not a square. It's that kind of a thing. So it's just that each one has to be what he is or she is, and it'll hold you in good stead, because I don't think primarily any human being is really bad. They have been conditioned to be bad, for example. So I think that's how you look at it. And so for me, that's the answer. I don't really believe that, this is how you got to behave. More or less that you should be a good human being. That's about it. And as far as this race is concerned, I really don't know. I think this race is governed by the business. It's nothing to do with the art. Like I often say, that I don't believe in the title of a best actor or a best villain or whatever that is. I don't believe in the title of the best at all in art. Art best can happen in athletics, for example. Like everybody is running the same race at the same time on the same field. So I understand that you're running and then you touch the tape. The first person will get the best runner. But that cannot happen in art. I mean, here an actor is working in some script with some director in some different story. The other actor is working with a different director, different script, different story, something else. How can you actually say who's the best? So it has always been my plea to people that when you're giving an award, don't give the best. You give it as a token of appreciation for your work in this film. That's it. Because the best can only inflate your ego and nothing else. There is nothing more to it. There's nothing called best in the art. You have exceptional pieces of work, which you can always award by saying that we appreciate you for this. And that's the better way of doing it. But I guess the trend is to give best and whatever. If there is a best, there has to be a worst as well, right? So I don't know that that is really true in art.
You are also a classic outsider success story, and you never indulge in the insider-outside debate and stay focused on work. That's what we have observed. Is there a level playing field for all, or is it too utopian to expect?
Level playing field? No, there is none. And you got to take it as a destiny. Because if you don't do that, then you will be frustrated. So there can't be a level playing field if there's power and no power. You cannot have a level. So you got to be steadfast in what you are doing, and which is why I don't believe as an outsider. I think if you keep doing your work well, you will be recognized one day or the other. And it might be an arduous task. That's a different thing. But definitely there's no level playing field, because it's like this. People who are born don't have control on where they're being born, right? So lineage is not an issue. Lineage, everybody has a lineage. I mean, where you're born is not under your control. So, but if that lineage is in a privileged place, then what you do with that privilege constitutes how you are. That's my whole point. So if you misuse the privilege, then it's bad as a human being. But if you use it well, it's perfectly fine. So I think lineage is not an issue. So the level playing field doesn't exist only if you start not concentrating on a lineage, but trying to use that power to not allow another lineage to happen. And that's when the problem comes, according to me. So the idea is that everybody has a right to be born in a privileged family. Why not? Perfectly fine. But how you use that privilege constitutes you as a human being.
How do you, any word of worldly wise advice to newcomers, particularly the ones who are just coming in, which you have gone through 25 years back? Now it's far more competitive, far more in your face, as you're rightly saying, social media, number of followers. So in this world of dog eat dog, world of movies, what's your worldly wise advice to newcomers?
The idea is that if you want to concentrate on that, then you'll never be able to. It's like saying that when I'm running a 100-meter race, I'm looking at everything else but the track.
Yeah.
The moment you do that, any which way, be it now, be it 100 years ago, be it 1,000 years ago, doesn't matter. The idea is, are you able to concentrate on what you're doing? You've got to concentrate on that. The moment you do that, otherwise what happens is everything else becomes important, but your work. The moment that happens, I don't think you will reach anywhere. You might make a few mansions. You might have thousands of Rolls Royces. That's a different issue. But I don't think in the art you will reach anywhere. Now it's your choice. If you want to get into that particular crowd and try and make your way to make, okay, he has 2 bungalows, I'll make 3. If he has 2 cars, I'll make 4 cars. If that is your aim, it's a different thing altogether. As I बोलता हूँ कि मैं बोलता हूँ उसके लिए डाका भी डाल सकता हूँ. For that kind of, that's not a big deal. But if your aim is that, then it is too peripheral, according to me. So the idea for newcomers is to concentrate on exactly the art. Fine-tune yourself, work on yourself in a way that nobody in the hell can ignore you. That's the whole idea.
How spontaneous or how method are you an actor?
I normally don't like these words spontaneous and method and all that stuff because I've seen that youngsters nowadays, even before doing anything, start reading Stanislavski and method. बहुत सारा काम करने के बाद, even now it's difficult to understand what method and Stanislavski is all about. So the idea is like spontaneity. Again, it's a very misused word. You can be spontaneous in life, but when you're doing a program or when you're doing a script, for example, it's a written script. It's there with you. When it's already there with you, how can you say that I'm spontaneous? Spontaneous is something when you don't have it, it's you're spontaneous, right? So when you have a script, it's your duty as an actor to be with it, rehearse, do whatever with that script. And by the number of rehearsals you do, not necessarily in a formal way, not necessarily with a co-actor, just do it for yourself. The moment you do it number of times, you will shed all the pollution around it. Right. The things that you already know, for example, you'll shed that. And it's a distilled water process, Right. Water becomes distilled after a point. And that's the purity. So you've got to achieve that. The moment you achieve that, and then after that, you completely surrender to the moment when you're acting, magic happens. So spontaneity, I think, is a very glorified escapist term for rehearsals, escaping rehearsals, basically nothing else. So I personally, there might be a different point of view. I personally don't believe that nothing is spontaneous if it's given to you. And as far as method acting goes, I have no idea. I don't think Stanislavski ever said that it is the method. He just said method, right? So I think that's something that people should note. And try and find yourself and your abilities as an actor and hone them. So that's the only thing.
Toughest and most satisfying roles of your career?
I really don't analyze myself so much. I've really toughest, the best, the favorite. These are questions for which I don't have any answers. Because for me, I don't think I'm so narrow-minded to have a favorite, for example. I'll have many. I have so many in art. Similarly, the toughest, I don't know. I've had many interesting roles.
Okay.
Or interesting characters, not roles, characters. I've done many interesting ones. I'm talking of interest in terms of while doing it. Right. What happens to it is not my concern. But when I'm doing it, I've felt it to be very interesting. that's my take. So for me, I've done a number of interesting stuff.
So can you name a few which are close to your heart?
I don't know. There must be, amongst the 55, 60 that I've done, there must be about 14, 15, which has a great shelf life, which might live for posterity, which might live posthumously. And that should be the aim of an artist, that your work should outlive you. So these 14, 15 jobs have that potential, is what I can say.
How do you see the OTT space developing? And do you see this gradual shift from weekend box office at theaters to sustained worldwide viewing on OTT is a good sign for more and more content-backed projects to come up? And will it help in changing audience taste in cinema in the long run?
See, what will happen, again, I can't foresee these things. What will happen, I don't know. But I can see a process, which
Right.
I'm quite intrigued in a way, because, you see, what happens with OTT is that your stuff, like in the previous, before the before the OTT, the level playing field didn't exist, right?
Right.
Because you had the middleman called the distributor, the exhibitor,
Right.
on whom big production houses had a great influence on.
Right.
They could kill your film. They could, not directly physically, but they would not perhaps give you a proper release or give you a few theaters or few screens here and there, and automatically that dies its own death. And they had, the big production houses had influences on the middlemen, and for whatever reasons, whatever business reasons, they obviously also acquiesce with it. So that is not there any longer in OTT. It's a direct connection between the artistic product and the audience. There's no middleman in between. Plus, so like the middleman, even the critics, for example, don't really matter as far as OTT platforms are concerned. They can't influence anybody, because what happens is that in the previous times, you have to get out of your house with your family, go to a theater, watch a movie, spend on popcorn, and on that money you can buy an entire year's subscription today on OTT. So it's an effort. So what you do is you will try and check out second opinion, third opinion before you go, right? To the theater. So therein comes a critic who might not like you or whatever. They'll just trash your film or praise your film depending on whatever their intelligence is. So they will do that, and then you will seek that and say, okay, fine, I think I'll skip this movie. But now, for that amount of money, you're getting 1,000 films to watch. So whatever anybody says, you will just push one button and you will watch the movie. So these kind of middle things are now not very important anymore, which is the blessing of OTT. Now, what will happen later on, I don't know. But I know for a fact that the audiences today are getting a taste of good stuff, not the packaged deals or the packages, the beautiful packages that you have, spending crores of money on PR, etc., etc. They can now see through it. I hope so. I don't know. And once that happens, there will obviously have to be some change when the theaters open, and I'm sure they will make that effort to watch good cinema more and know that it was good for health. It saved you from COVID, in these days by watching OTT. So it's a good thing. So I think if the audiences sort of patronize good cinema, then more good cinema can be made. But if they start patronizing some amalgamation of items, then more of that will be made. So because it doesn't make business sense to have a film if it doesn't run, right?
Right.
So and who makes the films run? The audiences do. So it's up to the audience entirely. So I have a feeling that today audiences, because of the lockdown and things like that, are exposed more to some stuff which they never thought, in India they would actually go to the theater and watch. So if they get conditioned to that, it's a good thing.
If I ask you to describe the following directors in one word or one sentence, how would you do that? Ram Gopal Verma.
I am very bad at this. Yeah, I think Ram Gopal Verma, eccentric and creative, perhaps lost his way today.
Neeraj Pandey.
Sense of humor, brilliant writer, and extremely good idea of screenplay.
Sudhir Mishra.
Philosophical, great improviser of the script. Yeah.
Anurag Kashyap.
Good filmmaker, extremely good filmmaker. Compulsive disorder or compulsive rebel. It's a compulsive disorder of being a rebel, or a rebel with no cause, kind of a thing. So he's at that, but brilliant in his craft and cinema language as a filmmaker.
So we never could see Panch, in which you acted, and the movie never came out, right? So do you think it would have made a good movie for the OTT audience today? Because we have I have not seen Panch.
Absolutely, I think it's actually meant for OTT now, because people are consuming that kind of stuff, and yeah, it's unfortunate it didn't release. I mean, neither did Anurag or anybody else have a hand in not releasing it. You know, it should just so happen that it didn't release, and it was, I think, Anurag's first film, and
yeah, which never released. Yeah.
So and he's made some great stuff. The Black Friday is great, and Guraal is great.
Right.
So yeah.
Any underrated actor in the Hindi movie industry whose work you really enjoy?
Yeah, मैं underrate किसी को करता ही नहीं.
No, in the sense one who's really not seen so much, but you really like his work every time he comes on screen.
There are so many. I mean, there are my contemporaries, for example. You know, all of them. Be it Manoj, be it Vijay Raj, be it Adil, be it of course Irfan. You know, so there are so many of them, and you know, even the today's breed is fantastic. Rajkumar Rao and everybody, the entire gang, they are fantastic. I mean, I think a lot of them. And in the older times, you had Balraj Sahni, you had Motilal, you had so many of them who were brilliant. So I think the list actually is endless. The reason why I don't take names is because I might miss out on somebody, and that is not fair to that person. You know,
right.
Because I'm not, I don't have that kind of a statistical memory. So,
right. Ever thought of writing or directing?
Writing or directing? No, I've never thought of it.
Never.
Did I mention Manoj? Yeah, I mentioned Manoj. Yeah, in the list of actors. Yeah.
How do you want people to remember you as an actor?
Oh, it's up to the people, but I would rather, as I said earlier, my intention is that my work should outlive me. So if people love my work even after, posthumously, I'll be happy. So whatever they can summarize of me, it's their call.
Do you have any goals as an actor? How does an actor focus on the present and not the future? So are you a person in the present, or you're always thinking of crafting your I'm not saying career, but your art for future? So what kind of a person are you?
See, if you live up to the age of 80, for example, 80 years average, you're actually just living for about 29,500 days. That's it. Okay. What is the future and what is the thing that you're thinking of? You've got to live it at that point in time, because each day, one day is being knocked off from the 29,500. Hopefully one is living up to 80. I don't know. If it's less than 80, then it's less number of days. Okay. So, so it's best to knock off, to allow that to be completely juiced out and then knock it off each day. So the idea is that there's a whole concept about goals, which I'm not very sure of, because that moment is the truth. Now I'm talking to you is the truth. Now when this moment is gone, and when you switch off the camera, it becomes past, correct? And before this interview happened, it was the future. What is true? True is only that when we are talking at the moment. Nothing else is true.
Right.
The rest is left to relegated to either past or the future, which you don't know, right? So it's very difficult for me to say, oh, I have a goal. That goal might be a visual or might be something, but वो सत्य नहीं है, वो है वहां पे कहीं तो, it's somewhere there, which you think you'll achieve. But the visual might be, you might be sitting on that chair, for example. That might be the visual. But you cannot think of that and stumble today. The idea is that if you keep doing your stuff, the art, if you keep doing it, and enjoy doing it, possibly that instead of you going to the goal, that goal will come to you. It will come to you automatically. And one fine day you'll find, the chair is already there in front of me. I'm sitting on it already. It's gone. So that's the whole idea. The moment you think it is there, it will always be away from you. It will always be away from you because you're not concentrating on what is there now. So that's my whole idea. So for me, there is no goal as such or no objective. My objective is that each time I'm given a job, I try and do it as best as I can and enjoy doing it. Which is why I say that I'm a very dispassionately passionate actor. In the sense that when I'm actually working, till the last day of my work, I'm extremely passionate about it. The moment my work is over, I'm completely dispassionate. Because I feel that that is gone. It's become the past now. And that film or that cinema or that piece of art has been given birth to. Now, anything that has been given birth to will have a destiny. Now, that cinema will have its own destiny. Now, I needn't hang myself to that destiny or hold on to it. The moment you hold on to it, either you're living the past or you're living the future. The best thing is that you let it go, and whatever happens to it, and people congratulate you, take it humbly, and don't claim ownership to it.
Okay, we are coming towards the end of the interview. I have got one audience question. We couldn't take too many today. Bharat Kisru from New Delhi asked, in spite of being such a gifted actor, do you still have fear of acting? And if yes, how do you overcome it?
I have no fear of acting. That's a simple answer. I enjoy acting. When you enjoy something, you can't have fear. It's like, let me give you an example which people will understand. You love biryani, for example, or you love, say, some masala roti you like.
Right.
If that's put in front of you, will you fear it? You won't. You would relish it. And that's exactly my point. I have no fear of any kind in terms of my craft. I would fear other things in life. That's a different thing. But something that I love, the moment you approach it with fear, then it will eat away into your indulgence into that particular art. So the best thing to do is first find out whether you're blessed with it or not. That's the whole point.
Right.
That's why I always say an actor and an artist is born. A star can be made, but an actor is never made. He's born first, because as I said earlier about singing, it's given to you. And so that's why every art form is given to you. If it is there with you, you see, possibly kya hota na, when you have a desire of a different kind, you might be given the gift of being the greatest shoemaker, for example. But you want to become an actor. The problem is there. That's when you start fearing things. But if you had continued with whatever was given to you, usme gati mil jati hai. You become the best shoemaker perhaps in the world. You become humongously, and you will enjoy it as well because it's given to you. Similarly for a singer, if a singer is, you can make out that, this guy can sing very well, or this lady can sing very well. Why is it there? It's already given to you. He has no training, but he can sing. That means it's given to you. Now, if you decide to hone those skills, you'll go faster than those people who are trying to sing in spite of not knowing how to sing. They might also do a laborious process. And for me, there has to be no labor in art. Art has to come easy to you. If it comes easy to you, that means you're meant to be. Otherwise, there is some fear, there's some labor. You feel tired. This thing will happen. But that's why I'm saying, so you got to first assess and be honest to yourself whether you have it in you, and if you have it in you, go full-fledgedly ahead.
The problem in India is too many people want to be actors. I think that is a problem.
वो तो है. I think that it's also because of the star syndrome. They feel that stars are actors, and that's a problem. so if you want to be an actor, it's a different journey altogether.
Right.
So, like I always said earlier, when I began my career, see, on screen I'm decent looking. I quite have a good screen persona, but one has to decide what's the path. So right then, I had decided that जब मैं घर के बाहर निकलूंगा, तो मुझे background score नहीं चाहिए. So that is a thing that's a take you take for life. Some people love it. I don't blame them for it. It's their way of living. But for me, it's very easy to call up somebody and say, I'm going here, please make sure cameras are there. Cameras will come. And flashlights will come. Background score will come. That's not the point. The point is whether you want it or not. I mean, whether that is your, journey. My journey was completely different. And hence it becomes a longish kind of a journey, because what is easily palatable and what's easily popular might not be premium.
But sometimes journey is more interesting than the destination. So you should enjoy the journey as well.
Which is why, yeah. Because otherwise, if you concentrate on that, as I said earlier, you'll be looking at everything else but your journey. And that one flashlight less would make you, spend sleepless nights. Oh, this guy didn't recognize me. Would make you spend sleepless nights. So that's the whole point. So if you were to continue with your art, it's possible that the right kind of people will recognize you, right kind of people will appreciate it.
Just last 4 one-word answers. Favorite movie?
Mitrajit, I have about 75 films which I like, from different genres. As I said, I'm not a narrow-minded
and different languages.
Different languages, different genres, different languages. What will you say if I say Raging Bull and Bicycle Theater? Bicycle Theater, different. They're completely different. So similarly, in that whole list, there must be about 40, 45 films, 50 films, which I always like. Which is why I'm saying that to be having one favorite actor, one favorite film, one favorite something, or the best, is very, very difficult if you're actually an artist, because that shows that you're very, narrow in your liking, which is very bad for an actor.
A director you would want to work with, anywhere in the world, a director you want to really work with, and you have not worked with.
Anyone who desires that I work with them. Anybody who desires that I should work with them.
If there is a biopic on KK Menon, what should it be called?
What should it be called? Biopic. Preferably a collage of all my good films should be the biopic. So I don't know what it should be called, because I'm not directing that film, definitely for sure. Nor am I writing it, nor am I doing anything about it in terms of my life. So the person who is going to write and direct that biopic has the full permission to call it whatever. He can call it the fool, the idiot, or whatever he wants to call it. He can call it whatever.
Year 2020 is ...
2020 is actually a pause in many ways in life, in the physical sense. A pause in the physical sense. But in the non-physical sense, it remains the same. In the sense that your thoughts, your ideas, everything keeps flowing. In the physical sense, yes, it was a pause. And also a bit of bad year in terms of news, in terms of people passing away and things like that, and a disease causing a lot of harm. These are all issues which have been there. So it would be a year which you can pick in your calendar and saying that this was one year which was not there really. It was something that was not very, very pleasant. Yeah.
Thank you, KK Menon, for talking to me in Teachers Classes presents Bollywood Talkies with Outlook. Stay safe. See you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't perform roles. I perform people.
Right.
So there's a whole lot of difference there. So it could be an officer, it could be a cop, it could be a professor, it could be a lawyer. These are all roles, and I don't perform them because they are the number of roles available are limited. It might be about 2,500 or 3,000. I don't know, but number of people are infinite.
Okay.
Mitrajit, the journalist, and say Dinesh or Suresh, the journalist, are both journalists. But if I start playing journalists, then it becomes just the same, So I would like to play Mitrajit and then Dinesh. Yeah. So that makes it different. And that's the whole idea. So I prefer to play people. So I was playing Himmat Singh more than anything else. Right. Himmat Singh, who happens to be a law officer.